What's up, Airheads? It's Trey here. I just want to do a quick disclaimer before this episode so you know it's about to be a banger. Am I right? Anybody that's followed me, followed us for a while, knows that we often do this thing where we sort of speak ironically and mock the sensibilities of closed minded dipshits by impersonating them. Put the book down, queer. That type of thing. We've done it our whole careers. I think we have an understanding with our audience on that front. But there's an instance of that in this episode that I thought may not have been quite as clear as it usually is. It concerns the conventional attitudes toward young mothers in small town America. And you'll know it when you get there. And when you get there, just know that that's what I'm doing. That I personally, of course, do not feel that way. We're just joking around in the style that we normally do, and that's all that's happening. I also just want to reiterate real quick before you get into it. This episode is about other people raising your kids. I say this in the episode, but I'm going to say it again right now. There ain't nothing wrong with having help. The only thing I take issue with is either a rich person or a poor person essentially abandoning their child, either literally abandoning them, or if you're rich, pawning them off on hired help. Those two things can go fuck themselves. Everybody else, I get it. I'm not disparaging. I'm not criticizing. I know that life be the way life is. So with all that said, here we go. Let's get it started. Enjoy the episode. Producer Russ, hit it.
Only we know that Forrest Gump is actually you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I got a bit about
you
that.
You do, don't you?
Yeah, well, it's like I'm talking about
look at this normal Alabama
people
man.
in California. It's like I bet you in 1994 there were a bunch of people in California that genuinely did not realize Forrest Gump was mentally handicapped because they couldn't tell.
Right?
They were telling their friends like, "Oh, it's this amazing film about a completely typical Alabama man." Well, hello there.
Hello. Hey, neighbors.
Hey there, Airheads.
Good to see you.
Yes, here we are back in Airhead Studios.
It's going to be a wonderful. Is this an NPR podcast
Going to
now?
record our program.
Yeah, and
for the good folks out there.
Remember, it's brought to you by supporters like you.
That's right.
If you would please like, subscribe, and download, that would be just peachy keen for us as we try to give you something both entertaining and educational.
Goddamn right. This is Puttin On Airs. I'm Trae Crowder, and that there's Corey Ryan Forrester. Pro Cho. That's right. You having a good time?
Buddy, I'm having the best time of my goddamn life. I said it several episodes ago, but, you know, again, inside baseball, we film these in batches, and this is the only thing in my career that when we're on, like, the second or third of the day, I'm actually like, fucking let's do 4.
Still hitting.
Like
Still
most things that we do, and I'm so happy to have the career I have, and it's a wonderful thing, and it's genuinely a privilege to do what you love. But at the end of the day, it's still work, and I don't want to do it.
Sure.
But this
hits.
If he wasn't even if producer Russ told us after we were done today, by the way, guys, I didn't even record that, I'd be like, well, it's a bummer that people won't hear it, but I still got to live it and have fun with my friend.
Yeah, but I would be real bummed out depending on how hard we hit.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, we was hitting real hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We have had those podcasts lost to the ether that suck.
Yeah, very recently.
But I'm just saying, I'd be doing this shit. This is truly something that I would be doing anyways.
I mean, like,
we did.
Me and you have kind of, sort of just been doing this for 10 years.
I know,
our
right.
relationship.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I just listen to you guys do this from the moment I begin to set up, while setting up.
Yeah.
I'll tell them just, hey, guys, can you have this ongoing conversation you've been having for the last decade just in here so I can
and
let
just falls
you know
out our butt.
And we do.
We do.
Falls smooth out our butt. Like a baby out of peasant's pussy. You know what I'm saying? Call back.
almost spit wine all over
back.
computer.
Dude, I'm gonna get like one of those royalty-free rap beats and make a little rap of clips from this show, and having you go call back is gonna be like one of the main loops that I put through there.
Yeah,
that's gonna hit.
You've hit for me already. Even just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's gonna hit.
Mm-hmm. Will hit. So speaking of will hit, what we're gonna be talking about today. Last episode I talked about fancy people and trash.
both having a lot of babies, having a lot of kids on this episode, keeping the theme going.
That's this Venn diagram
another
right
Venn
here.
diagram where they overlap. Fancy people and trash people. Having somebody else raise your kids.
That's what's up.
Nannies versus mammaw and them. But we'll get into it a little further later. And again, both of those topics are given to me at the same time by my wife, Katie, who designed our set. Thank you,
did.
Katie.
Shout out Katie. Katie Crowder, everybody. Katie Crowder.
And then Pro Cho, History Professor Cho, today is on the subject of...
We are going to be talking about the time the IRA exploded Lord Mountbatten's boat.
So he got brought up in a recent edition of Pro Cho, just as like a footnote. He got brought up, and we're like, oh yeah, he got exploded on that boat, right? That's it as far as what I know, is that he got exploded on that boat. So I look forward to hearing the rest of that a little later. First,
that's about it.
Just shooting the shit. All right, yeah, we can just go ahead and skip that topic. Yeah, it's like, no, you got it. He got exploded on a boat. Didn't hit for a lot of people. Did hit for some people.
I mean, if you get exploded on a boat, that is going to be the main footnote about your life. No matter what
else you did,
if you got exploded on a boat,
people going to lead with that.
Yeah, but he got exploded on a boat. So, oh, what else do I need to know?
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. All right.
On Pro Cho.
I'm looking forward to it, Pro Cho. So first, just shooting the shit a little bit, something we've talked about before off air, but I don't think we've ever talked about it on here, is like, and let me preface this by saying, I'm not bitching about the phenomenon of like inclusion in Hollywood or anything like that. I get it, and it's fine. It hits for me. I'm making a specific point, which I will get to momentarily. But it's a huge thing in Hollywood right now, about how like inclusion and representation, right? So basically, like, if there's a gay character in a show, a gay actor should be given that role, right? Mm-hmm. The idea, and this, like for a while there was like, I don't remember the name of it, but like there's an Anthony Hopkins movie from the 90s where Anthony Hopkins plays a black man. And I'm sure he crushed, by the way.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's got a funny sounding name. It's like very much a drama, but the name sounds like, I don't remember. It's wild. It's The Human Stain. That's what it's called. How about that? Yeah, The Human Stain, starring Anthony Hopkins
he's not in blackface.
As a black man. He's supposed to be biracial, right?
Okay.
But still, like, Anthony Hopkins.
Right.
So, like, and of course, John Wayne played Genghis Khan.
Yeah, it was a different time.
Mickey Rooney played that
yellow
Chinese feller.
Yeah.
Or Japanese. He was Japanese, I guess. The guy in Breakfast at Tiffany's, he was a fucking racial caricature is what he was.
I think it was Japanese.
I think he was supposed to be Japanese, but it was fucking, the big letters.
Right. It's something else, dude.
It's wild. So, like, that was a thing in Hollywood for a long time, for sure.
Oh, is that Nicole Kidman?
Yeah, she looked great there.
She's never not looked great.
She's always looked great. She's like a fine wine, baby. And I don't just mean her looks either. She hits like a motherfucker. She's a lunatic, awesome. I apologize. She was great. I don't know, but she's great.
She was great in the Lucy Ricardo shit. Like, she did a really good job. But, like, very brief side note just on Nicole Kidman. I just recently rewatched Batman and Robin because I was just because HBO Max has them all, and I was like,
that since I was a kid.
Me either. And so I was like, I want to see if this holds up for me. Which, like, because of nostalgia, it totally did.
Let me ask you this about that movie, because I've thought this, but I haven't gone back and rewatched it.
It's so crazy that Tommy Lee Jones plays Two-Face.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Hang on. That's not, I'm down to hear your thoughts on that. But Batman and Robin, of course, it got roasted to the ends of the earth, and I get why. But, like, I haven't gone back and rewatched it, but thinking about it in my head, I was like, weren't they trying to do a, like, campy 60s Batman style thing? And it's like, so if that's what they were trying to do, the fact that it's all goofy as fuck and everybody makes fun of it, it's like, okay, but that's what they were going for, wasn't it?
So
like,
here, and this is like retcon type shit, but sometimes when somebody retcons a thing and you think about it in that terms, you can go, oh, wait, this does make it hit harder. Like Jar Jar Binks being a Sith Lord. If you go back and watch it with that in mind, you're like, all right, I can see what they're talking about. So with this one, a lot of people say that what Schumacher was trying to do was make a Batman movie that was a Batman movie in the Michael Keaton universe. So this is a movie for... In the world where Michael Keaton's Batman exists, this is the movie that they would show in that universe. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at it like that, because of the stark differences between the original Tim Burton ones and this one. It's like, yeah, if that was the real world and they made a movie about that, and a movie has to be a heightened, ridiculous thing, you would get this. And if you go back and watch it with that in mind of like, this is supposed to be a Batman movie made for a universe where Batman exists, it's great. And it's over the top, and it makes fucking sense. Like, Jim Carrey is a motherfucking lunatic. Tommy Lee Jones is a motherfucking lunatic.
But that's a fan theory someone come up with to make it hit harder, or like people are saying that's literally what they were trying to do.
I mean, I think some people were saying I think that's what he was doing by trying to make a campy one. Like, this is a Batman movie for this universe. Like, this is what they would be watching. But my only point is that I went back and rewatched it, and Nicole Kidman has never been hotter in her entire life. I mean, she aged like a fine wine, of course, but like, I don't think as a kid I appreciate just how gorgeous this woman was. Like, that's a motherfucking woman. So go back to your thing.
Nicole
I didn't mean to derail.
She slaps. So yeah, Anthony Hopkins played up, mixed guy. John Wayne, Genghis Khan, all that shit. It was a thing in Hollywood. They've been self-correcting recently. So now it's like, you know, obviously a black character should be played by a black man. A biracial character should be played by a biracial person, right? And a gay character by a gay actor, right? And so it's gotten to the point, and people have made jokes about it and stuff, where it's like, you know, if you've got a paraplegic character in a movie now, you better hope somebody at Juilliard gets hit by a fucking bus because you can't just put an able-bodied person in that role, because, you know, that would be offensive or whatever. I'm not making comments about none of that. I'm not making fun of none of that as a phenomenon. What I'm bringing up and pointing out is that's a huge thing in Hollywood right now, and everybody knows it. And yet 75% of the cast of The Walking Dead, all the fucking rednecks in The Walking Dead, when the camera's cut, they're like, oh, that was a nice,
And
you
that
know,
Tom
Cheerio,
Holland movie,
doing great. Tom Holland, the devil all the time.
Lucky set or
every fucking Logan Lucky. Channing Tatum's from Alabama.
Yeah, but
and also
James
Daniel
Bond
Craig
ain't.
fucking hits for me.
I don't give a fuck.
But I'm saying, like,
him in the fucking Knives Out. Like,
it's a huge thing with inclusion and representation. But if you see a redneck in a Hollywood movie or TV show, odds are when they call fucking cut, they're getting their tea brought to them, and they're like, oh, yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Yes. The Ripper of a Day.
It's
portraying these
toothless degenerates.
Heathens, yes. But
with the gay thing,
and then you know, on The Walking Dead, then they like action, and that person's like, oh, spit my daddy's leg out. You know,
like
fucking
possums in my pumpkin pie.
Yeah. And
the
it's
gay
like,
thing bothers me a little bit. 2 seconds. Let me defend it. With the whole, like, if you have a gay character, it's got to be played by a gay person. It's almost stereotypical that everyone in Hollywood is gay. So I feel like, because there's been gay dudes playing straight characters forever, and I don't want to be one of those men's rights, what about us motherfuckers, but like with the black shit, I totally get it, because genuinely they constantly are casting people like Anthony Hopkins when a black actor should play it. But with the gay thing, there's not going to be a shortage of gay actors that end up playing straight roles that no one gives a fuck about, because it's like, look, you look like this guy and that guy was straight and you can fucking act it. Because there's so many gay working actors, that one to me has always seemed like, I think we should like kind of come to terms on this one. And I'm willing to be wrong. I'm just saying, so many gay dudes have played straight guys and we're all cool with that. And so every now and then it stands to reason that there's going to be a straight actor who just really fits the role of a gay character, such as Sean Penn with Harvey Milk. He looks just fucking like the motherfucker. So with that one, I kind of feel like we need to go, all right, look, this one is what it is. But then I know I sound like a dick here, but do you understand what I'm saying?
I don't think you sound like a dick at all.
I don't really, honestly, me personally, I'm a straight white man, but I don't really give that much of a fuck about if the actor,
redneck part. I don't care either.
I just think that's funny.
It is funny. They don't give a fuck about us.
That's the only category where like no one is making that argument. No one cares. It's like the studio execs are sitting there thinking, like, well, should we get some real rednecks? And they're all like, no, God no. Like fucking, you realize what's going to happen if we had a bunch of fucking rednecks running around this set? No, we need to fake that.
Yeah, right.
But everybody else, you better make it fucking accurate. You can't have somebody playing something they're not unless it's fucking white trash hillbilly shit. And then it's like, get somebody who's classically trained in Shakespeare fucking and bring them over here and have them do it. And it's funny to me.
Also, not for nothing, and again, not to be woe is me. Like, I'm a fucking, at the end of the day, I'm a straight white man first. But like,
Allegedly.
Heard that.
Allegedly. But at the end of the day, you're also never going to see a redneck portrayed in any light other than being the dumbest motherfucker in the room most of the time. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, I understood, like when 9/11,
And for a very long time, it was like that with gay. Like every gay character was like,
hey, yes.
Like, yeah, right.
And also after 9/11, it
The
was
gay
like that
best
with
friend.
it was like that with Islamic characters.
Yeah.
Like you would hear actors tell these horror stories of like, I had to work, but like every audition I was getting was to play a fucking terrorist. And like that sucks. And again, I'm not comparing.
Honestly, that's happened with most groups in Hollywood.
It has,
over the
but
years.
it continues to happen with rednecks.
Yeah,
but
right.
no one gives a fuck
No one
about
gives a
that.
fuck.
Is
Yeah,
my
right.
point. Is like when it started happening to Islamic people, we were like, oh, that's clearly happening and that is fucked up. But as much as I want to go, listen, man, can't you have a redneck be smart? And they're like, no, fuck no.
But also, on that, I used to have a bit like about this, like at certain points over the history, like these groups of people, they stood up for themselves and they were like, fucking, that ain't cool. You shouldn't be
and
like
I agree
that.
with them.
And I agree with them too. But it's like, but that has never happened for rednecks. And I feel like part of it is because rednecks as a people are just like, well,
We don't
I don't
give a
give a fuck. You know, it's
I ain't
like-
trying to be no queer
it's like-
actor
yeah, right, it's
anyways.
like, did you hear that they were talking shit about you? Who's talking shit about me? Everybody. Well,
Good.
tell everybody they can kiss my ass. And I
Right.
don't give a fuck.
Because
Like,
me and
it's
you
like-
are in this industry, and I don't really care.
Right.
Like when Daniel Craig got cast as that dude, I remember a lot of people that we know. Certain people were like, "Can you believe they got this guy?" I go, "Yeah, he's James Bond.
But
he's fucking James Bond. Like, of course they have him.
And he basically plays Detective Foghorn Leghorn in Knives Out. But I love it.
I do too. That's what I'm
crushes.
saying.
He's
Like,
so
it doesn't
fun.
offend me.
But a lot of times, those actors that get cast in those roles, I'm
dude.
sorry. Even if the actor super hits me, I'll be watching it and I'm like, I can't hardly watch.
Go watch
this
Varsity
shit.
Blues.
Oh, I know, dude. I know. Yeah. Dude. Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah.
And it's like there's plenty of great Southern actors that could have done this shit.
Right.
But
I always want to, if I like get more famous, I want to do a sketch idea where it's like, and I've told you about it before, but it's a sketch where like I'm playing myself, and I had a fucking rough upbringing. My mama's on pills, all that shit. My daddy's dead now and everything, and so it's like the idea of the sketch is Hollywood decides they want to make a tearjerker Oscar bait movie about my childhood, like Hillbilly Elegy, right? But my childhood, and so they cast some big name Hollywood actor who isn't Southern, but he's like A-list or whatever, to play me in the movie. And I'm all excited about it and stuff, and they invite me on the set, and I'm there to watch it and everything. And he comes out and I talk to him, and he's cool and all this stuff. And then they go over there, and he comes out, and they call action. He's just like, "Why didn't Mama love me?" Just like, and then
one of his teeth is in his nose.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then they cut, and I'm just standing there like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But everybody, they got tears in their eyes and
They're
stuff.
just throwing their Oscars
everybody
on the
else on the
stage.
set's throwing roses at him
Yeah.
and shit. It's like, you sound just like him.
Yeah.
Are you guys hearing this?
Like Simple
Look at
Jack.
This, looking at me like it must be like looking in a mirror.
Yeah, right.
Watching this guy. He's just like you.
Yeah, and
And
he's
I'm
just-
fucking. I want people to know I'm smart, but I'm not smart, but I am smart.
You've just got hay in your teeth.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because it just, I don't know.
It be like
It
that.
be like that.
It do be like that. They don't. Only we know that Forrest Gump is actually you know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I got a bit about
you
that.
do, don't you?
Yeah, well, it's like, I'm talking about
Look at
people,
this normal Alabama
people in
man.
California. It's like, I bet you in 1994, there were a bunch of people in California that genuinely did not realize Forrest Gump was mentally handicapped because they couldn't tell.
Right.
They were telling their friends, like, oh, it's this amazing film about a completely typical Alabama man. I just think we all be like that.
That's a funny movie to rewatch too, because like it is Tom Hanks's probably seminal performance. Is that the
Sure, yeah.
And like it's a classic, and a lot of people like now retcon it. They're like, it doesn't really hit, and blah blah blah.
I still think it hits.
It does hit,
Yeah.
and it was a different time, and like in my opinion, he does the perfect job of, to quote Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder not going full retard.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, can't do that, man. Look at Sean Penn. I am saying, went full retard, went home empty-handed. He does a great job of that, where it's like, he is kind of stupid, but I kind of know people that talk like this.
Do you know how he ended up talking like that? Have you heard the story?
Yes,
I
but
heard
tell me again.
himself tell the story, and so he was having trouble figuring out the voice
There was
for
a
Forrest
kid,
Gump.
right?
Well, it's young Forrest.
Yeah, right.
So the way it happened was
I thought young Forrest was Haley Joel Osment.
No, that's Forrest Jr.
son. His son,
Forrest
yeah.
Jr.
yeah.
is.
He's the fucking dude from Young Forrest. Isn't he the dude from Tokyo
I know
Drift?
what you're thinking. No, he's the kid from Sling Blade.
Right. Yep.
Get how you get on.
Yeah.
We are a lot alike. All
Yeah,
of us,
yeah,
but no. This young Forrest, I don't think ever went on to do much else. But Tom Hanks.
That's just how that kid talks.
Tom Hanks had been having trouble figuring it out, having trouble cracking it, right? And he was like attached immediately,
Right.
And he was like having trouble finding the character and the accent and everything. And then they cast young Forrest, and Tom Hanks met him and was just like, "Well, I'll just do that."
Right.
And he's like, met the kid, and he's like, "You know what your dad do?" He's like, "He works at an oil factory." It's like, "Well, they do? They make lipsticks and other stuff like that." And like he was like, "Well, I'm just going to do," which it's like, this is the kid playing the young version of me, so I should sound like him, but also like, this is it now. You know what I mean? Like they cast that kid. That's just the way Forrest. That kid talks.
Yeah.
And that determined
really hits for me.
Determined Forrest Gump's accent.
That super hits for me. And again, like I know people, they go back and like, maybe we don't hit, but like it's so funny too. Like that fucking scene where Forrest goes and Jenny's hanging out with a bunch of these fucking Malcolm X militant black dudes, and one of them like slaps her, and Forrest beats the shit out of him right on the spot. And then there's all this commotion, and Forrest just gets up, and the line read of the century, he just goes, "I'm sorry for ruining your Black Panther party."
Yeah. No, dude. I rewatched that movie, not like we were on the road or something. I was in a hotel, and the hotel's the only time
cry watching it, because I do.
Sure, yeah, of course.
The feather.
Bro, no, the part where he's like, when he finds out about young Forrest, he goes, "Is he smart or is he?" She's like, "He's the smartest kid in his class," and he like, and dude, that shit,
his look on his face
kills me.
Or is he?
Is he smart or is he? Yeah, right. Yeah, no, dude. I know.
It's unbelievable.
Now, fuck people talk shit about Forrest Gump,
and it's
dude.
so
That
true.
movie hits.
I've only heard
you can
people
tell
really,
a lot about people from their shows.
Yeah,
it's so true.
I've heard more people talk shit about Jenny now, saying like,
well, she was a bitch, man.
Well, that's a huge thing. But she
was molested.
She was molested as a kid.
Yeah, but
fucking,
then you can do whatever you want after that.
No, I hear you.
No.
It's a nuanced thing. Like, she was definitely molested, but then also like she kind of treated Forrest like shit, but at the same time, it's like, you actually shouldn't have been fucking this.
She raped a guy and gave him AIDS.
There it is.
Like, dude, I remember, like, no, listen, I'm sorry for saying that, but like, it's true. Like, that's not like a right thing. And I remember like the first time I was watching that movie as an adult with realizing that, and like, she's just like, her and Forrest are in the room together, and she's just like pulls her bra off, and she puts Forrest's hands on there, and she goes, "Just feel him, Forrest." And I'm like, "You don't know how strong he is. Like, you better like him. I just mean like you're taking advantage of this fucking dude. Like, you shouldn't do this shit."
And I'm saying, I think part of the whole point of all that is that like she does not understand
that he's
she has.
Oh, she didn't know about consent. She don't know about any of that stuff.
Like, she doesn't.
Right. Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
she's so damaged in that way that like she's just. That's the only way she knows
how to
sort
show
of like
love. Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
I think that's part of the whole deal with her character.
Yeah.
in that movie,
you're right. You're right.
Because of what her daddy did to her.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fair, and I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. You've been helping. Yeah.
We might have to cut that.
No.
We'll bleep it. We'll bleep it.
Buddy, we're fucking 20 episodes in or whatever now.
Yeah,
like,
this is
they're along for the ride.
We've already lost all the
the people that would
easily
care about
offended
that.
people.
Bleep it.
Yeah, sure. It's fine. It's fine. So yeah, I just think it's funny that, and again, I'm just pointing it out because I think it's humorous to note. I'm not pulling out my soapbox and being like, we are the last group of people that nobody cares about. I don't give a fuck. I just think it's funny, but also
funny.
true.
Yeah,
that like clearly every other group, like it matters in this town.
DJ used to have
with fucking hillbillies, redneck, white trash, whatever, they don't give a fuck. They'll get a fucking Duke's son to play the guy that eats Duke's mayonnaise on a boat dock in Alabama.
DJ's
I will say Lord Pickles would make a banging redneck, though.
He would.
If he could do the voice, like if he didn't, if he
could.
just sat in a courtroom, fucking looking surly or whatever, he's like, or a sheriff or something, like he definitely got the look for it. There ain't no doubt.
This actually goes. DJ used to have a great bit about that, by the way, about how hillbillies are absolutely a look down upon people, but nobody's out there with signs trying to conserve the hillbillies.
Right.
But going on the accent that actually plays into this, like, the reason that a lot of British people end up playing us, right?
Apparently, phonetically or linguistically speaking, the accents are actually pretty close together.
So close.
And it's weird because people think that accent is super smart and refined, and our accent is fucking, just mud-eating dipshit.
I wish that I had thought about...
But apparently, yes, in terms like linguists and stuff would tell you that they're very closely related.
I wish that I had thought about this before, because I would have
We just dumb it up.
Yeah, right. But no, it's true.
We just take their shit and put some stank on it and then make it our shit.
Here's how it goes, and I wish that I had thought about this before, because I would have shared this clip and we could see it, but I saw a clip one time that was a dude breaking this down, and he was explaining how it worked, and all he did was take a British dude talking regularly
and slow it down.
No, actually sped it up.
Oh, okay.
He actually sped it up, and it was like, when it's down here, everyone's just like having a lovely thing of tea, and then you kind of like start speeding it up, and then all of a sudden you get down to here, and all of a sudden
it sounds like a racist banjo being played.
Yeah, and then if you slow a redneck down, it kind of gets like here into all this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know about that because, buddy, listen, matter of fact, I'll give y'all a little Easter egg right now.
You'll love it.
If you've listened to our other podcast, you may be hip to this already, but if you're just here as an airhead, which we appreciate, tell you something you can do 20 episodes in, give you some rewatch value. Not that we don't have it already. Go back on your podcast app or on YouTube and slow us down to half speed. Forrest Gump ain't got shit on us, buddy. Let me tell you right now, you will be blown away.
Just a big boat in the IRA exploded.
Talking about peasant pussy. Yeah.
It's big.
They all think we're dumb. Yeah, it'd be like that.
We don't hit.
All right, so...
Phew, I tell you, Trey, it's hot, baby. It is hot, and it's time to bring that summer heat into the bedroom, and the temperatures ain't going to be the only thing rising this summer. Talking about you, wiener. That's right. This episode is sponsored by our good friends over at Blue Chew. Confidence can take you far in life, guys, and it also helps in the bedroom, especially when it comes time to step up to the plate, and that's where Blue Chew comes in. And, of course, by plate, I mean the wiener, crotch, butthole, whatever, of the one you love. Trey, tell them all about it.
Right. The plate is the butthole and or the crotch, and the wiener is the bat, is how we say it. Right. Oh, you mean tell them all about Blue Chew? Yeah, Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them any time, day or night, so you can plan ahead or just be ready to get down whenever an opportunity arises. The process is simple. You sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. That's the best part of the whole damn deal, y'all. It's done online entirely. You ain't got to go to the doctor's office. You ain't got to have any awkward conversations. You ain't got to wait in line at the pharmacy. We might run into your high school librarian. Who the hell knows? You ain't got to do none of that. Blue Chew's tablets are made right here in the U.S. of A., prepared and shipped directly to your door in a very discreet package. Cho?
It is a very discreet package, but your package won't be so discreet after you chew one of them little sumbitches and go from 6 to midnight just like that, baby. Oh, my God. Blow. It comes in a little teeny tiny white envelope that as soon as my wife sees it, she starts to quiver like she just saw Richard Gere on the silver screen. Richard Gere, that is. It's great. Gere. I love it. Richard Gere. I love it. I wouldn't go without it. My wiener is fine on its own, but with Blue Chew, I mean, come on, dog. It is. It's just amping your wiener up to the next level, and why wouldn't you want to do that? And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew for free when you use our promo code POA at checkout. All you got to do is pay $5 shipping for the most rock-hard sumbitch and wiener you've ever had. That's BlueChew.com. Promo code POA. To receive your first month for free, visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information, and we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
All right, y'all, this episode is brought to you by Car Shield, who make it easy and affordable to protect your car from expensive repairs, and that's just for starters. Car Shield is the #1 auto protection company in the U.S. and offers protection plans for around $100 a month. The plans cover more parts than ever before, whether your car has 5,000 miles or 150,000 miles.
Yeah, and let me tell you how simple it is to get your car fixed. When you need a repair, you choose the mechanic, and Car Shield's administrators handle the rest. That's it. You don't have to deal with the paperwork or the headaches. You're taken care of. And the same goes if your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road. Plans through Car Shield also include coast-to-coast roadside assistance.
Can't beat that. Car Shield administrators are there for you with rental car options and trip reimbursement at no extra cost, too. So get coverage today, and you'll lock in your price now, and it will never go up. I said it will never go up. That means as long as you own your car, no matter how old it is, you're protected from the rising cost of parts and repairs for your vehicle.
Car Shield helps protect my wallet from expensive car repairs, and they'll do the same for you. Go to carshield.com/podcast to start your plan and lock in your pricing forever. That is carshield.com/podcast. A deductible may apply.
Speaking of it be like that, let's get into it. Rich people, they got nannies and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Poor people, they got mammaws and shit. Mm-hmm. But either way, they don't like raising their own kids.
No hell.
This is one of those things where, like, I sort of like in the last episode, like trying to find some good, like whatever sources and shit. But hell, I ain't Professor Cho, you know. And it's just like I know that. It's just a thing that we know to be true, so we're just going to talk about it. Fucking rich people, like regular-ass rich people, they be having nannies and stuff, but they still try to act like they raise their kids.
They stand next to their nanny while the nanny does their hair, and they're like texting, and they're on their Instagram and shit.
Yeah, exactly. And they're and living out here in LA, dude, you hear or you see fucking
a lot of our contemporaries
nannies,
that's their job.
Right, or you go to you go to the park or whatever, and fucking it's nannies all over the place, dude. Yeah. It's ed up with nannies out here, and like
there's dog nannies.
There ain't nothing wrong with having a nanny. I mean, you want to have kids, but you want to fucking pursue your career and everything.
As long as you
that's
still
all
love
well
them
and good,
it's
right?
Fine, hell.
You also need a hot chick in your house.
Because I mean, look,
right, yeah,
my grandmama. This is so funny because like my mama, great mama, but she did work. Like when I was a kid, she worked and she was a nurse, so she worked a lot of shifts. And my dad was starting his own business, so this motherfucker's working 18 hours a day. So like my earliest memories, my grandma may as well have been my mama. You know what I mean? Like I was always over there, but like there was never once a sense in my mind of like my mama don't love me and that's why I'm over here. Like she'd come pick me up and be like, "How'd day at work? You know, hope you had fun at grandma's house." So, like there ain't a goddamn thing wrong with it as long as you're not, in my opinion, as long as you're not completely absent from your child's life, such as like Henry VIII was taking care of his nanny and his parents never saw his ass.
I know, and I was going to get into the royals, and we'll definitely circle back to that because it is a different thing. I agree. It depends on the parent, right? I think that, like, again, dude, it's just like with fucking, I mean, it's like with poor people. If fucking single moms got to work 2 jobs or whatever, they're either going to be latchkey kids, they're going to stay at grandma's house a lot or whatever, but that doesn't mean that the mother doesn't love them.
Matter of fact, it means they love you a lot. They're trying to work to put food on your fucking table.
Right. So, but I read some of these anecdotes from like elite nannies for the elite, and they were talking about how sort of out of touch some of the, I mean, they're kids, but like how different their lives are. Like this one nanny told a story about she had this little boy. He was like, 6 or 7. He had been at a play date or something, and he broke down crying. He was upset.
Oh, you my mommy.
That comes up a lot. Like,
are you my mommy?
They say that there's a lot of these kids will accidentally call their nannies mommy or whatever, which is sad, but is what it is. But this kid was at a play date with other little fancy kids or whatever, and he got real upset and was crying. And she asked him what was wrong, and he said he was crying because he found out that his buddy's house has an elevator in it and his don't.
Well, that don't help.
No, it don't. No, it definitely would hit harder to have the elevator in your house. There ain't no doubt
even
about
just to
that.
Put chicken in it and send it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So they
dumbwaiter shit for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have a smart one, but yeah.
Yeah.
I do. No, yeah, I don't. Yeah, fucking, yeah, food elevators.
get one put
I'd
in.
love to have a food
I'm
elevator
gonna get
in my
one put
house.
in.
I don't need an elevator for me, but an elevator for my chicken at night, yeah, I'd like to have
I'm gonna
that.
get one put in for sure.
You just like go over there, move a painting aside, and there's a chicken behind it.
That's what's
That's
up.
what's up.
That is what's up. So again, my point is, I can understand where if a kid saw that shit, he'd be like, "Why ain't I got a chicken elevator?"
Right. Yeah. But yeah, they and a lot of these other stories about just how they like fucking, you know, just how rich they are. They just throw everything. They get some like real fancy shit or real fancy crib for their baby or whatever. And then when the baby's too old for it, they just throw that shit out.
That would be
a
funny.
Of course they do.
That would be a funny episode of MTV Cribs. It was just like actual cribs, you know, like British cribs and shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure they're golden and their fucking mobiles are like, you know, like all the fucking like former kings and shit floating above their head and stuff.
Mm-hmm. But have you ever thought about like the job of not just a nanny, but any of these servants like this? Like I always watch, anytime I watch a show, like we both love Downton Abbey and you watch it. And of course, Downton Abbey is a different era, but like people like, it's like, it just seems like unless they asleep,
Yeah.
or they've been given
call.
leave to be on vacation, so they're completely
Yeah.
away or something, which almost never happens.
Yeah.
It's like you just work all goddamn day long.
Yeah, I mean,
like
Carson especially, like if Lord Grantham won't, or I guess Mr. Bates because he was his valet, which that's a word that I thought we say. It's so weird to me that we say valet and they say valet.
Because valet seems fancier. Valet seems like the dumb way to say
it.
it.
Sounds like how we would say
but I think with them,
sherbet, Simon,
I think with them it's like valet is like the Frenchy way to say it.
So
they're
don't
like, fuck the French. They don't hit.
They hate the French more than we do.
Buddy, hating the French is they shit.
But like, yes, like a Mr. Bates, like if Lord Grantham woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and he wanted something, ring a ding ding, motherfucker, like it's time to go. Like, yeah, I think about that watching that show and I'm like, what the fuck kind of sleeping schedule?
Well,
like,
a lot
because they didn't have phones. It was just a bell.
These nannies, like for the ones that have kids that are in like school, rich kids that are in school, they got to wake up, get them out of bed, get them ready for school. They go to school, and then the nanny's got free time. So, you know, it's like 8:30 to 2:30 or whatever.
She's got to sew their diapers.
Right. That's not too bad. But when the kid's off, you know, it's then until bedtime till the kid goes to sleep. You know what I mean? But like if it's a baby, like do you ever have any time to yourself?
Of course
it seems
not.
like it just could not.
That's got to
hit.
be. That's the part that they want you there for the most.
So do you think it would hit or not hit? We're men. It's different, but I'm saying like.
I mean, it depends on how much they're paying them.
I think they generally pay them pretty well, but not exorbitantly, but pretty well. But apparently a lot of these, and it's sort of the obvious kind of like dichotomy of like personal life versus professional life, where like a lot of them are like, you don't have a personal life at all, and that sucks. But a lot of them also say it's like, well, look, dude, I'm staying at the fucking 5-star hotels.
Yeah.
I'm the servant that takes care of the kids, but I live that lifestyle as a trash person.
Good trade-off.
And that hits for me.
I mean, if you're a trash person, it's a sweet gig, dude.
Right, yeah.
I mean, and also, like, I feel like nannies are in the kind of respect of, like, a doctor and a teacher in that it's like a calling. It's like, no nanny is like, I fucking hate kids, but, like, I'll do this. Like, I think that they're like people that are like, I genuinely love childcare. I like taking care of these kids. And if they're being adequately compensated and, like you said, get to live in a fucking Ritz-Carlton from the 1800s all day, every day, and like, yeah, they're not eating the oysters with them people, but I guarantee you the slag they're getting is still pretty fucking tight. I don't know, man. Like, back then, that person's options are do that or be covered in soot all day. So, yes, I think that of the lower class trash people, that's a fucking sweet gig.
You know, some of them, though, have to deal with just some little monsters or like getting close to
Joffrey?
puberty or whatever. And he's just like, Nanny, come over here. I need to put my feet up. You know, and just
pound of my asshole.
Make them sit there and just be an ottoman or whatever. Like, you know they deal with some of that shit. And that's got to be rough to deal with from a fucking 12-year-old or 7-year-old or whatever. Just
and
a little cunt. But part of it is also like, I know they got that cunt blood in them.
They do. They have the cuntest blood.
They got the cuntest blood. Fucking rich people cunt blood. But like, I feel like part of it's also kind of like you are sort of raising this kid.
Right. Yeah.
So if he's being a supreme little shit, like you ought to fix that.
Yeah. Hit him.
Yeah. Smack his ass around. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. And then they'll hang you in the town square.
Yeah. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
But like the aristocracy, and it's been like a whole thing in recent years with like William and them being like, we're going to see our children.
Right.
Tradition be damned.
Yeah.
We're going to be present in the same room with our children for more than an hour a day because, like,
well done, boy.
Yeah,
Soccer.
yeah,
Yes.
Right.
Hip, hip.
The aristocracy and the royals and stuff, they didn't just have nannies. They had nannies, governesses, fucking
the governess,
sub-butlers, footmen, maids and shit, all
the
just
governess is like a nanny for when the girl starts becoming like a woman and she coaches her into how to be a woman, right? She teaches her, like a nanny cleans up your shit and feeds you, but a governess is like, I'm teaching you the proper way. Like a nanny don't really
because who's going to do that? Not your mom.
Not your goddamn.
No. But no, they had the parents
She's
had
out
this
getting her
like so like
wig
it was like improper to spend time with your children. It was like once a day they would be like, Reginald, bring in the children.
You remember me, don't you?
And the children were supposed to be like at their top. Like they got to be cleaned up. They're at their best.
Behind their ears.
They're like
clipped.
fucking just wearing their Sunday best on their best behavior. They come in and they just
present them.
There's like, here are your children, madam. Like, yes.
Still alive.
Indeed. There they are.
Wonderful. Indubitably.
Yes.
It sure is. How high can you count, Reginald?
Right, yes.
If he gets
10,
to 11, they
not nearly enough.
and they slap
the nanny. It's like, I expect 14 by tomorrow. Your wages will be garnished henceforth. But yeah, they just like bring them in.
That's the only type of garnish that don't hit, by the way.
Yeah.
When your wages are garnished.
Yeah, but ain't most garnishes just like, what is a garnish?
Would you like to know this?
Sure, yeah, we can take a tangent. Let's do it. What?
2 seconds.
Because to me, a garnish is just like a nothing, just like a, it makes it look hitting.
Do you remember when we were kids and you would go to the Shoney's buffet or the Golden Corral buffet?
I know where this is going, but yes, go ahead.
So when you see the buffet, what's surrounding the buffet?
I know. It's kale.
It's kale.
I know. For years, until kale became like a hipster thing,
they used to sell it for $5 a garbage bag.
The number one consumer or purchaser of kale in the whole world was, I thought it was Pizza Hut.
Probably Pizza Hut.
Because of their Pizza Hut buffets. But whatever it is, it's a shitty buffet with all that greenery around it. That was kale, and that's all kale used to be.
That, and they would put a piece of it on your plate with a lemon on top of it. And I remember when I was a kid, if you went to like grab that, your parents would be like, oh, don't touch that. That's just the garnish. And it turns out that's what we should have been eating the whole fucking time. And it was like, I remember my buddy Jerry, he used to run a Golden Corral or some shit like that. And he was like, dude, we used to buy that shit for literally $5 for 2 trash bags full. And now, 900,000% markup. But like, yeah, the stuff that surrounded the garnish that surrounded the buffet was what you should have been eating instead of the goddamn mashed potatoes that had been sitting under that fucking heat oven for 3 hours. So
anyways, is it, or have we been lied to by Big Kale now at this point?
I mean
it's green,
it entered
I know,
the
but
superfood.
like,
it's definitely better than any of that other stuff.
It's definitely better than anything on a Shoney's buffet.
I think we were definitely lied to a little bit. Like, I'm sure the avocado people are lying
like
to
it's
us
a fucking mirror. Avocado, dude, you can't trust avocado, motherfucker.
No.
Hell no.
But they are good.
They're fine. Yeah, they hit.
No, they do hit. But that was my about garnishes. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I've completely forgotten. We were talking about nannies and shit.
Garnish their wages, kids presenting the kids.
Yeah, they would just literally bring them in and just be like, there they are. See them? They fine. They got
check their pulse.
They got all their legs still. They hit.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they're like,
that one's shorter than the other one, but that's just a victim
and then they're
of the
just
times.
like, that to be quite enough. Thank you.
Yes.
Remove the children.
Yes. It's time for brandy and a cigar and racism.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And that's just how it was.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's really wild to me to think about, but that's just, and so like I said, William is like bucking the trend by only having 2 nannies or
and going to
whatever
soccer
it
practice.
is. Yeah, right. All that shit. So then on the flip side of that, trash. Trash is a little different. Trash, they have other people raise their kids because they on pills and or in jail.
Or working 4 jobs.
I mean, yeah, or that. Yeah, you're
But
right.
mostly
Or
that.
Or that.
But mostly
well,
that.
like, you're right. So there's the working 3 jobs version where it's like you're spending a lot of time with mammaw or whoever else because your parents working all the time. And that's like a noble, if unfortunate situation.
Right.
If somebody has to do that or whatever. But, all power to them. But then there's the other version where, like, you just get raised entirely by mamma and papa because your mama a piece of shit.
3 different girls that I went to high
And
school
it's
with.
very much a thing. Like, dude, I guarantee you, if you grew up like where we grew up, you knew somebody got raised by their mama and papa because their mama was a piece of shit, let alone their daddy, who nobody had seen in 20 years.
I graduated with there were 97 people in my graduating class. Only 76 graduated, but 97 were in my class. 3 that I know of that were like kind of near my circle found out that their older sister was their mama. When we were in high school.
Right.
Like that secret, because the internet wasn't a thing back then and people weren't talking as much, but like we all knew them as like, yeah, that's her way older sister and she's kind of hot. And they were just like, did you know that's my mama? And we're like, fucking what? And then they were way hotter.
Yeah, that's another slightly different version of it where you got a teenager and she's a whore, and then so because she's a whore, she has a baby, right? As whores are wont to do.
Yeah, they love it.
We're just sitting here, we're just having a good time. We're just joking around. We love
They're
whores. We're pro whore.
They don't want to do it.
They are want to do.
Yeah.
We're pro whore here at Putting On Airs. We've always said
pro
it.
whore, anti-terrorism.
Yeah. Hitler don't hit.
Hitler don't hit.
It's unfortunate hit is in his name, but
yeah,
it
you
should
can't
be
spell
not,
Hitler without
it
hit.
should be
That's
more
right.
like
Don't Hitler, am I right? But anyway, you got a teenage daughter that has a baby in the South. Well, you can't have that. So but I feel like you got to have some means because I feel like they'd have to send the girl away at least for a little bit to go stay with cousins or something.
The fat camp or whatever.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Because
no,
otherwise
they would do that.
Right. So they'd send it away. The girl goes and has the trash baby. They bring it back. And then they raise the trash baby like it's a real baby. Just in case I need to remind anybody, I'm the trashiest motherfucker you've ever met in your life. So I'm allowed.
Basket filled with aluminum foil.
I'm allowed to say all of this. But yeah, they bring the trash baby back.
And I'm a whore.
They bring the trash baby back, and the mamma and papa raise the trash baby as though it was their own, and they tell everybody that it's their new kid as opposed to their grandbaby.
Yeah.
So that baby grows up thinking that
That way the church won't kick them out of Sunday school.
Sure, because you can't have that. So, yeah, it's like, you go, I got a sister that's 14 years older, man. It's like, no, that's your mama. You know what I mean?
Imagine, I know that you had your own mama shit.
Sure did.
You sure did, but, I have tried to put...
I'd rather have a sister mama.
I know, but I've tried to put myself in the place, because this one girl was 14 years old, and then it just got someone told her they wanted in their mind, they wanted that to last forever.
Yeah.
But she got told that, and they were just like, yeah, that's true, I'm actually your mom. That is some fucking, how do you come back from that shit? That is, you mean crazy.
If you're 14 and you have a 28-year-old sister
who has always just been my fun older sister.
Yeah, and she's kind of like my aunt more than my sister, but she's good. And then you find out that's been your mama the whole time.
That's fucked up, man. I mean, and I know that I get why in society it had to be done. It's not any of these people's fault. If society wasn't the way it was in the South, they would never have to fake that. But in their minds, they're just like, people are going to look down on us if we don't do this.
They know our daughter's a whore.
But that's fucking, your entire worldview of 14 years is completely shattered. You know what I mean? And now this is, and I've talked to the girl since. She's fine. She
fine?
Well, she got pregnant at 16.
Yeah. There it is. There it is.
A tradition unlike any other.
Family tradition, yes. Comes from a long line of young whores. Right? I'm sorry. I'm really doing it
this
episode. Yeah, you. I forgot. We've been on one, and this was talking about fucking Forrest Gump and whores and everything in between.
Last episode, guys.
But that's all right. No. Again, I'm allowed to say it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the horse stuff, but it's fine.
I'm stupid.
Yeah, it's fine. We're hitting.
Yeah.
So yeah, and again, just like it's a damn shame that somebody that works 2 or 3 jobs just to pay the bills and keep their kids up and everything, that they have to have somebody help to raise that kid. Like, again, that's like fucking, I'm not shitting on none of that. I'm not shitting on any of this. I'm just saying that, like, it's a wild sort of phenomenon shared between both ends
and
of
a
the
completely
socioeconomic spectrum. And yes, a very different version of it.
One
Like,
is we have the means to do it. The other one is we have to do this.
Right. It's like we have no choice. And over here, like, well, that don't help. Let's get somebody else to do that. Yeah.
That ain't it.
Right.
And I get it. I mean, like, dude, if I was super fucking rich and Amber got pregnant, I'm not saying I wouldn't delegate some of the responsibilities.
No,
to
ain't nothing wrong
else.
with like having help or whatever, but you know, I don't know. I just like
you
I
still
would have
got to
somebody-
spend time with your
Yeah,
kids.
right.
At
No,
some
I don't,
point.
and I don't like.
all I'm saying is, like, I could see myself.
It's also wild to me. And I'm not trying to fucking whatever. I'm not trying to have a fucking pissing contest about being a parent or whatever. But like,
You're a great dad.
I want
How many times?
desperately to spend time with my kids. I'm upset by not being able to.
Yeah.
I in my brain, it's like I wouldn't want to delegate that. Like, I have no desire to delegate spending time with my children to somebody else that I pay money to do it.
I broke down.
I just don't.
I'm embarrassed to say this a little bit, but you know it's true. I remember one time we were doing stand up somewhere, and we were in a hotel, and like my niece had like just been born, or like she was a year old or something like that. And I'm a fucking very involved uncle. Like I am, like, if my, like, I could raise her, like I could be in this situation. Like if my sister and brother-in-law decided right now, like, fuck it, I go, cool, that's mine then. That's mine. I'm doing that. And I'll just tell her I'm her daddy. I don't give a shit. And I'm a very involved uncle. And I broke down crying one night talking to you. And I don't know how this is about to play for you, but I don't know if you remember this, because we were super wine drunk, and I was crying, telling me about how you were my hero because of how good of a dad you were, and it made me want to be a better uncle. I was like, I want my niece to feel the same way about me as your kids do about you, which I know is like kind of technically impossible, but like you're awesome. Like, you really are a fucking great dad. So I could understand why, like, all this nanny delegation would kind of bother you, because, like, with this motherfucker right here, listen, he's busy. He's got the Evening Skews. He's got the Well Read podcast. He's touring, doing stand-up. He's doing this shit. But I'm telling you right fucking now, his goddamn kids come absolute number one first. And not a lot of people in this business do that shit. And I remember seeing that, thinking to myself, like, well, I'm just going to, like, in order to make it in this business, I'm going to have to sacrifice time with my relatives and my family members. And then I saw you, and I was like, I got to be the best fucking uncle in the world. So I could see where all of this stuff to you is, ugh. You know what I mean?
No, it is.
Sorry to get on my soapbox
it's all
jerk
right. No,
your dick
it's okay.
off.
I love it. No, this is the Hallmark channel fucking portion of the show.
And I cried
but I do
so
appreciate
hard.
it.
In your
You did.
arms.
It was
I
very
cried
sweet.
in your
You cried in my
arms.
arms, not for the first nor the last time. But I
Definitely
appreciate
about
that.
the most sentimental thing.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, the idea of, like, wouldn't anybody pay to get rid of their kids if they could?
Right.
Like, in my head, I'm genuinely
Like, no.
I'm like, no.
I love them.
I don't want to do that. Like, I don't, but whatever. It's, you know, I'm not judging anybody
But getting
on
somebody
either.
to pick them up from, like,
Right, no,
practice
yes,
or something
that's
like
all,
that. And
that's
then when
all
they,
good.
Because so,
I'm not
like,
shitting on that.
You're a busy dude, so, like, you got
like-
somebody to pick them up from practice, and then later you have your time with your kids.
That's what, like you said earlier, it depends on like, having help and having a nanny and stuff, there ain't nothing wrong with that. You got to have your own career or whatever. It just depends on how you are.
You gotta
in the
show
other
up.
times.
You still
gotta
gotta
be
show
right.
up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, with that said, now it's time for you to show up. Pro Cho, history of Professor Cho, right after this on a subject I'm completely ignorant about. Some who got exploded, Mountbatten. Mountbatten got
Lord
exploded.
Mountbatten, which was Prince Philip's granddaddy Dickie,
Got exploded on a boat
got
by the
exploded on a
IRA.
boat by the IRA.
Right after this. All right, Airheads, I want to tell you about something. Listen, if you've been following us for a while, you probably know that, generally speaking, Lord don't hit for me. Never has. Never been too down with God, as it were. But you know what? I'm starting to think that maybe I was wrong because I'm listening to God's new podcast. That's right. Did you know God had a podcast? He does. It's called The God Pod, and it ain't just him. It's him and Jesus co-hosting on there. Two people who I thought did not hit, but they're teaching me otherwise with this new podcast. Two old pals been hanging out together for thousands of years, and now they're breaking their silence, reacting to all things that us humans are getting up to down here. Every now and then they'll have special guests. Who else? Moses, Mary Magdalene, Satan even drops by. It's great fun, full of fun and heart. The God Pod is a twice-weekly opportunity for God to hang out with some other deities and maybe meet some interesting humans along the way. Because, see, God's whole thing is he's basically tired of everybody, like your boy, me, right here, making him seem like a prick all the time. He wants to set the record straight. He don't hate gays. God loves gays, and he wants you to know that. This show is God's chance to respond to all the accusations and wrongful uses of his name. Turns out he's a good guy, and the God Pod is his chance to correct his image. I mean, yeah, sure, he flooded earth and killed everybody, but that was one time. It was a long time ago. He has changed. Along the way, God talks to all kinds of interesting humans as well. Authors, comic book writers, comedians, like my intrepid co-host, more on that in a second, and people from The Simpsons, Family Guy, South Park, anything you can imagine. Seriously, the God Pod is pushing back against the Christo-fascism that currently threatens this world while also finding time for jokes. Consistently ranked in Apple's top 100 comedy podcast. If you don't believe us, just check out the reviews. The God Pod has a 4.9 star rating on Apple. It is a divinely blasphemous comedy podcast. Cho, tell them what you think about it.
Well, I mean, first off, if you're going to start listening to the God Pod, which I suggest that you do, you may as well go back and listen to the two funniest episodes, which, of course, was with your boy. And this, by the way, is the only way that I would consider talking to God, is being a guest on his podcast. It was a great time. The last time I was on it, it wasn't just God. It was God, Jesus, Moses, Mary Magdalene, somebody else that I can't remember, and your boy, the god of fake Southern wrestling characters on the internet. And you can't go wrong with adding the God Pod to your rotation. It's incredibly funny. There's never a dull show. Search for the God Pod on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Psst. Who's going to take care of your family if something happens to you? What would they do without your income? If you don't have a plan, you need to go to GoliathLife.com. Get a quick quote for more than 20 carriers. You don't even have to leave the house. If you need a medical exam, they'll send somebody to your house or office. You're in total control. You pick the rates, you pick the payments, you pick the terms. You're in total control, but it gives you and your family peace of mind. What if something happens to your income? Hurry to GoliathLife.com. Are you feeling stuck making minimum payments on your credit card debt? SaveWithConrad.com can help, and you don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket to do this. NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Oh, and did I mention no house payments for 2 months? Get rid of your credit card debt and lower your monthly payments right now at SaveWithConrad.com.
Well, let's do it, Pro Cho.
How about it?
History of Professor Cho here. Mountbatten, whatever, getting exploded by the IRA on a boat. I have nothing. I think this is the first time I've had literally nothing to say other than just what the thing is, because that's all I know. I know that happened in The Crown, so I watched The Crown. If it hadn't been for that, I would not even know that this was a thing that happened to a person.
Yeah.
So I know that happened, but that's it. I don't know anything. And he was that dude was Prince Philip's uncle or granddad.
Daddy,
Okay, all right.
think.
Whatever. He's related to the royals somehow.
Yeah.
That's
He's
because
a
Philip was a Mountbatten.
Yeah, he was a
Right.
Mountbatten, which I think
They had some Nazi stuff going on.
they had a lot of Nazi stuff going on. I mean, early on in the
first
I think
Sea Lord.
Queen Elizabeth, or excuse me, King George V, who is Elizabeth's dad, they are the reason that they're now called the Windsors, because this was right when World War I was going on, and their name was actually like something, it was German as fuck, and they were like trying to remove themselves from Germany, so they went by Windsors. But like because of that, so many of the royal adjacent people had a lot of German shit going on, and yes, the Mountbattens were one of them. I feel like Mountbatten as a name, if we had like a NCAA Sweet 16 bracket situation going on, it's got to be a number 1 seed of like fancy names, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Mountbatten.
Yeah.
It just sounds, and I don't know if I didn't know about these people and I just heard Mountbatten, I would probably think it was a mountain that you mudded on or something like that.
If I knew that someone's last name was Mountbatten, I would
immediately
think they were fancy as fuck.
Yeah, their kids go to a different school than my kids.
Yeah, for sure.
So, little background before the explosion, because obviously kind of buried the lead there. That's what we're talking about. But a little background before the explosion. So, relations between Northern Ireland and Great Britain, they were never really that good.
That's what I understand.
Yeah, they call this the Troubles, which I think was definitely named by the British people.
For sure,
like
dude.
the Ireland would never call, this is the trouble. Yeah. To them, it was like, this is quite a bother.
Yeah, right.
Don't you think? But like to them, it's like, this is the bullshit.
Bit of a kerfuffle with the Irish, isn't it? Yes. Whereas the Irish are like, no, you don't own us, motherfucker. We're trying to fight for our freedom. Right? Isn't that the deal?
Yeah, of course. That's the deal Ireland, with any of them. With
right,
all
yeah.
them.
It's like Northern Ireland, Britain's like, y'all us. And they were like, we ain't y'all. And they're like, no, y'all us. And they're like, God damn it, we ain't y'all.
They stay doing that, huh?
They stay doing that.
Well, that's
dude.
all they do. And while like any time there is like some sort of revolution, whether it be the American Revolution or the Irish Revolution, no matter, I'm like, how the fuck could anyone not see that this is clearly, there is a right side and there is a wrong side?
Well, so for a really long time, I feel like, and this was always wrong and stupid, but like, I think for a long time, the answer to that question was that like the civilized world looked at the colonized peoples,
savages,
and were like, well, they're bringing them civilization.
Right.
And they just don't understand enough to be grateful for that. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? It's like we should side with civilization because they're trying to make these savages better. That's what they're trying to do, and they don't appreciate that yet, but one day they will. And like that's how they felt about that
I know,
shit,
but
think.
like,
of course, that's crazy.
I understand why the rulers would think that, but like at the end of the day, if you're just an unbiased person who's reading about revolutions.
But if you're an unbiased person from Great Britain back in the day, and you're talking about Zimbabwe or something, your average person in fucking, Surrey or whatever is going to be like, yeah, no, it does make them better.
Sure,
well, they appreciate that we're making them better.
But how can you not understand that, like, even
that
by
wasn't
their,
it for you?
Even by
because you're civilized.
I'm just saying
somebody can't bring you civilization.
Yeah,
I bet now look, if the alien showed up and was like, y'all don't hit, we're going to show y'all how to hit, they'd be like, no, it wasn't hit for them.
I'm just, my point is like,
in their minds, they're like, we're better than everyone else.
But why can't
so
you,
like, this is what we're supposed to do is better the world. And again, to be as clear as possible, I'm not, fuck all that.
I know.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like that's how it worked in their heads for a long time.
To me, it's like, in their words, not mine, like, let the unruly savages just be unruly savages in their own place.
Yeah, but them unruly savages, they got either diamonds or potassium or oil or some shit like that. Which would
part.
Dude, that's like the big part of biggest part.
Yeah,
they didn't give a fuck about the savage. They were like, put some pants on them savages. That's our whole thing. Our entire ethos as a peoples is based around putting pants on all these goddamn savages. They were like, no, that's them fucking pantsless savages. They got a bunch of fucking emeralds.
That's
or
like
whatever.
if Bill Cosby was Idi Amin.
Yeah, right.
Like, just pull your pants up. That's all we want. They're out here without the pants.
Yeah, no, dude, the fucking
oh my God,
resources.
some fan, please Photoshop that.
Bill Cosby is Idi Amin.
But no, dude.
Got the Forrest Whitaker fucking wandering eye and
no,
shit. Yeah,
bro, it was always all about fucking money and wealth. They had resources.
It's so funny that I know that,
exploit.
but in my brain, for 2 seconds, I'd forgot about it. Like, why don't they just let them live? And it's like, right, of course, they have an emerald mine. Yeah, I'm a fucking idiot. So the Irish Republican Army, or the IRA, was established in and this is background information before we get to this. I feel like I need to set the IRA up. In 1919, and their whole thing was they're going to halt British rule in Northern Ireland using armed forces. They fought for independence and a reunified republic, often in tandem with, but independent of, the Irish Nationalist Party. So a little side note on here. Every time I'm saying this because I know we have Irish fans and people from over there, and I'm going to say right now, we do not understand the nuances of the IRA and the political scheme over there. I'm completely talking about my ass and only talking about stuff that I've gotten off of Britannica.com and all this shit. But I will tell you this. The only information I've ever had about the IRA is from like Scorsese movies and shit like that, where like every single time it was just like, look at this fucking IRA motherfucker over here. And it was always considered a terrorist organization.
Yeah,
yada,
they're like
yada, yada.
the militants.
They're the militant. But then like when you start reading about it and you go, well, yeah, that's exactly how I would describe them if I was the British people that they were trying to take their fucking freedom back from.
Yeah, they're like militant freedom fighters,
and
which is a little different.
And not to get too into weeds, but like, I understand ISIS. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying...
I ain't saying ISIS
listen,
don't hit.
Taliban don't hit. I'm just saying, like, if Taliban don't hit, but ISIS is because... we went over there and fucked up a bunch of shit because they did some shit, but those are just
a lot of them dudes in ISIS had their daddies exploded by our drones and shit.
And they not from here, so they don't
have that.
They don't know shit about 9/11 except for like, yeah, this is what we were talking. Like, I'm just saying, I fucking get it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying, if I'm a fucking kid and my daddy got exploded by one of Obama's drones or some shit,
so like it's like. Yeah, we're talking about the same thing, really. It's like if you're going to involve yourself as a country in empire building or imperialism or fucking trying to run other countries and tell them how to live and stuff, you going to have shit like this. And also, because, we're not, I'm not equating the IRA with ISIS.
I'm not either. And I'm not saying ISIS hits or the Taliban hits. I'm just saying I fucking understand it.
How things like this happen in places like this. Of course they do.
At the end of the day, what the Irish Republican Army is doing to Great Britain is exactly what the fuck we did to Great Britain. It's just that we won.
Right.
And history is written by the victors. So like if America had failed at our attempt to overthrow the British government and turn ourselves from colonies into a United States, if we had failed at that and we're now still the colonies, we would be considered ISIS. Like America, the fucking independence dudes would be considered fucking ISIS, the independence
dudes.
You know what I mean? That's a great movie.
That's like a 90s Brendan Fraser movie about the revolution. Independence dudes.
It's also a good piece of merch.
Independence dudes, yeah. Just me and him with flags and hot dogs hanging out of our mouth. But anyways, in 1969, they demanded that Great Britain get the fuck out of Ireland, but Great Britain was like, nah. Like, that ain't it. Like, y'all us.
Y'all us.
Y'all us.
They didn't tell y'all that y'all us?
Yeah, and they were just like...
we gonna be here if y'all us.
Yeah, and they were like, nah. And they were just like, yeah. And so that's how that went.
Excuse me, yeah.
So the IRA then splits into two factions, kind of like the NWO.
Yes. White and red.
White and red.
I was going to say NWA.
The officials and the provisionals. The officials tried to seek independence through peace, and the provisionals were more of the any means necessary type. So it's sort of like the NWO, but realistically more like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. I mean...
okay, no, I know. It's just...
it was Martin Luther King not peace, and Malcolm X was not by any means necessary?
You're right. It's just funny that, like, those are your two reference points, is all I'm saying.
Well,
like, so you might hear this and think NWO. You're like, which one's the wolf pack? Well, we could get into it, but...
the provisionists is the wolf pack.
Provisionists were the wolf pack, but I think it's a more apt metaphor if we instead, rather than the NWO, the Attitude Era 90s pro wrestling organizations, NWO, if instead we focus upon the civil rights movement as personified by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. versus Malcolm X and their differing ideologies. Moving forward.
You have just summed me up as a person so well.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm either the dumbest smart motherfucker you know or the smartest dumb motherfucker you know, but both of those make so much sense to me.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, yeah, I get this.
Yeah, you're like, what don't everybody get about this?
I mean, I'm just saying. So this split is what led to the deaths of thousands of people in various revolts. December 28, 1969, aiming to protect the Catholic minority from discrimination from loyalist militants and the Protestant majority police force, the Provisional Army, which these were the
The Wolf Pack.
They were the Wolf Pack, yeah. Yeah. They officially splinter off from the IRA. The Provisional IRA soon becomes known as simply the IRA, while the other faction known as the original IRA quickly, they're just like, they're gone. So, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like that.
So the provisions, they become the IRA.
It's
So
just,
now
the IRA is just now
the provisionists.
Just now the provisionists.
Okay.
So January 30th, 1972, known as Bloody Sunday. Yeah, we all know that one. Fucking U2. Yeah. 13 unnamed Catholic civil rights demonstrators are killed, with 15 wounded by these paratroopers from Britain during a civil rights march in Derry. Shout out to Dairy Girls. Very funny show. It's so fucking great. The British Army was calling on some bullshit, and they were like calling the victims gunmen and bombers. But a report finalized in 2010 found that none of the dead people had any guns or bombs.
Imagine that. They didn't have any weapons of mass destruction on
none.
them? They just dead people?
They just shot all them motherfuckers. So July 7th,
you'll have that.
You will have that. July 1972, unsuccessful secret peace talks take place between the IRA and the British government in Chelsea Cheyenne Walk. The first meeting of the two groups since 1921. Flash forward then to July 21st, 1972. 20-plus IRA bombs explode in Belfast, leaving upwards to 150 sumbitches injured, 9 dead on what will be called Bloody Friday. So they were like, well, we already had the Sunday, so just there's no need to rename the first part. Like, it is bloody, you know. So
kind of wild over there, just because, like,
it's bloody.
Yeah, right.
Bloody right.
It's like, sure was a Friday. Do you know what I mean? Because
that was a bloody Friday.
It was a bloody Friday. It's Bloody Friday, isn't it? You know, like, sorry to trivialize it.
No,
but
I hadn't thought about that.
The way they use the word bloody most of the time.
Do Irish people also use bloody?
I don't know, actually.
Probably. I mean, they were them, and they were us, and them, and that's true.
We's y'all.
Ireland.
Crikey.
Over in Ireland. Oh,
it's a bloody, it's a bloody fucking mess.
It's just a bloody mess. I don't know. Do they say bloody?
I don't know. Y'all email us at puttingonairs@gmail.com.
They definitely both say cunt.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's
for sure.
a cunt.
Everybody but us says cunt in a way that hits. We're the only ones that's like a problem, apparently.
Yeah, I know. And I love it. And that's what makes it hit harder for me.
For sure.
So December 22nd, 1974, the IRA announces a Christmas season ceasefire, which I think is kind of nice. You know what I mean? They're like, it's Christmas.
That also happened in World War I.
It sure did. And on the, like, I saw a video one time of, like, it was a dramatization or whatever, but, like, they were like, hey, we're stopping. And they all, like, went and had Christmas dinner together.
They came out of their trenches and fucking, like, did Christmas shit.
And everybody paints that as, like, this beautiful moment. And I'm like, that's the most fucked up shit I've ever heard. Because it's like, after that, at first, they were just going to kill a motherfucker they'd never met. And then after that, they broke bread with these motherfuckers, and then we're like, all right, well, tomorrow, you know, like, the ceasefire's over and it's gonna go down.
I don't know. I kind of get it. I get the perception of it of, like, it's a brief glimpse of humanity in the middle of this stretch of fucking just
of all these people
savagery.
Who they're, but
talk about a calm down.
It's like people remembering that, like, them remembering and acknowledging. We are the same thing. We are humans, or whatever.
Then we shouldn't fight,
of course. But
like
those guys, they all know that.
Yeah, right.
They don't. None of those guys don't want to be fighting or whatever. And it's kind of like them being like, "Fuck all this shit."
I'm just saying, and
let's
I know,
put it aside at least for today.
I know being a deserter would get your head chopped off, but, like, if I wasn't a deserter to begin with, which I would have been 100%. I'd have been.
You love dessert, dog.
Dude, I'm a dessert.
He loves dessert,
and I'd been a draft dodging son of a bitch. I would have absolutely been a draft dodging son of a bitch. But, like, if I wasn't already, when I, like, then met with these Germans or whatever, and we all talked and realized, like, we really were all the same. There's no fucking way I could then regroup myself and then go kill. I'd be like, guys, I'm out.
But if you didn't desert, though, I know you're saying you would, but if you didn't, when you go back to your trench and they go back to shooting at you, you're going to go back to shooting at them.
I'm just saying I'd have never got to that point. I'd have left. Like, I'd have fucking left.
And got killed. And that's fine.
And
but
I'm just telling you what I would have done.
I'm just saying, like,
I think deserters are fucking heroes.
I get the whole thing.
I don't know, man. It's really hard to wrap.
It's sad. I'm not saying it's not
just
sad.
That whole war thing is hard to wrap your head around in the beginning.
The
beginning, but I'm saying, like, that there are these rules and it's so sanctioned. It's always blown my mind because it's just like, no, we just fucking start shooting and then it's over. But, like, they're like, no, okay, that's it for today, right? All right, we'll take 5.
Yeah, right.
And then so the ceasefire is then extended on February 8th, but the truce ends. The truce ends just a month later when the IRA says, look, we achieved more in wartime than in peacetime. So we're pretty much up to speed on the IRA and their comings and goings with the British motherfuckers at this point. So I would like to get into the topic at hand. On August of 1979, Dickie Mountbatten and his family... Dickie Mountbatten and his family are at their holiday home, Classabon Castle, near the village of Cliffoney.
Dickie Mountbatten is such a good example of that whole thing that we've talked about before with them. Where it's not even just, I mean, that too, but I just mean like they have such a wild juxtaposition over there between like fucking pompous, stuffy, upper crust shit and whimsy.
Whimsy. Dickie.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
yes,
Lord Dickie.
Yeah.
Dickie Mountbatten. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the way they combine those two things has always been very fascinating.
That was what apparently his he was Richard Mountbatten, obviously, but that's what his like nephews and nieces go, it's Uncle Dickie.
Well, I'm saying it's wild that like that's how he got remembered.
Right, because you think it'd be like, it's Richard, you cunt.
No, Lord Richard Mountbatten. That's how you'd expect it to be. It's like, no, Lord Dickety Doo. Yeah. You know, like
Dickie. So him and his family are vacationing at Classabon Castle near the village of Cliffoney County, Sligo in the Republic of Ireland, and it's a pretty day. So what do you do on a pretty day? You're like, fuck it, man.
Get on a boat.
Let's get on this goddamn boat, because boats
hit.
They do hit. So they ain't been on this sumbitch 15 minutes before it exploded on account of, I mean, didn't even let them break out the brie, dog. You know what I mean? Like 15 minutes before it explodes, because two members of the IRA had strapped a fucking bomb under it. And a witness told the New York Times, the boat was there 1 minute, and the next minute it was like a lot of matchsticks floating in the water.
Yeah, explosions be that way.
So, I mean, this was a fucking...
Things get exploded. Yeah. That's sort of how that goes.
So this was a pretty good goddamn bomb.
1 minute was there, next minute it was exploded.
Yeah, right.
Y'all ever seen an explosion?
So there were 7 motherfuckers aboard the Shadow is what the boat was called, including Mountbatten, his daughter Patricia, her husband Lord John Brabon, their 14-year-old twins, Timothy and Nicholas, and Lord Brabon's mother, the Dowager Lady Doreen Brabon. Paul Maxwell, who he ain't got a title because he's only 15 years old. He was a friend of the family who worked on the boat, so like that really
sucks,
don't hit. Mountbatten, Nicholas Brabon, and Maxwell, the boy, they were killed immediately, whereas Lady Brabon died the next day, and the others survived serious injuries, which is crazy to me because they're like, it was a bunch of
I don't know about all that matchstick shit.
That's what
like,
I wanted to get to.
Because if you got a boat that gets turned into matchsticks, and people are going to get turned into mist.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so
goo.
I don't know about the matchsticks, dude.
Look at that wreckage right here.
No, that's what
I mean, that's a lot of wreckage.
That's what I wanted to bring up when you were saying that. I was like,
so wait a minute, hold on. Okay, so like, you seen Die Hard with a Vengeance? Just no, listen.
What kind of fucking question are you asking me? Have I seen Die Hard with a Vengeance?
So of course you've seen it, right? Do you remember how fucking John McClane and Zeus, Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis, they're on that big container ship when it explodes, but
this motherfucking ship got motherfucking containers. I remember that scene.
Yeah, and it explodes and they like dive off of it, and but any action movie where like an explosion happens directly behind someone and they just get thrown to safety.
Yeah, right.
You know that always happens.
The concrete doesn't scuff them up or
and
nothing.
What I'm saying is like people always like shit on that, and I feel like rightfully so. I was like, that would liquefy you if that happened,
or one of the shards of something would go through your chest cavity.
But so what I'm saying is, based on this story, like that type of thing can happen. Die Hard with a Vengeance was actually historically accurate, or whatever. Like that. I mean, obviously, if some people survived this boat getting exploded into matchsticks,
let's track it.
Then
here.
like you could. What is this? Is this real?
This is the ship explosion from Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I was like, they got the Mountbatten shit on camera.
No.
Yeah, no,
This
forward to
this is like the 20th time Samuel L. Jackson. No, he don't die in this.
Fast forward. No, he doesn't.
Fast forward to the end of this, Russ.
He's from Chattanooga, by the way.
Right when they, but all I'm saying is in Hollywood movies, when when something explodes, right?
People just get thrust forward into safety.
Right. And everybody shits on that. And I've always felt like it's for good reason. But I'm
with
saying
this,
you telling me this story,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so that is possible then?
Apparently.
Like, because I'd always been
I guess
led
they
to
got
believe,
pushed out immediately into the water and they could just swim. You know
but
what I
I'm
mean?
saying, you said, watch this right here, watch this. That, look at that.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, look at that shockwave
Oh, that
and
looks
shit.
super real.
And everybody's like, dude, they'd be fucking
Clearly
goo.
fireworks,
They'd
but
be
no.
goo.
No.
But like, you can be on a boat that explodes and survive.
The only way I can think
If you're
is
in the water, right?
They were
What if
close.
you're
Yeah,
in
but
the
they
water?
weren't in the water.
No,
right?
they were
were on a
close
boat.
to like
in the water.
They were close to the port. What's the front? The bow.
Yeah.
They're like right
Yeah.
on the bow or something, and the explosion was on the back of the boat. And
The
so,
stern, I
the
believe,
stern, and
they
so
call it.
the explosion.
You
the
do water
shock from the
business?
explosion.
I know water business.
The shock from the explosion sends them directly into the water and thus preventing them from getting hit by any shards and shit. And then like they have to struggle to get back up. But like once the explosion happens. And then if they're underwater for a lot of that shit, like, I mean, they fucking live. So clearly like this did happen.
Right.
But
so that's wild.
unfortunately, the explosion wasn't the only carnage that day because later that afternoon, 18 British soldiers were killed near the Irish border at Warren Point in an IRA bombing ambush. So they were making a whole fucking day of this. This is a quote from the New York Times. It was the single heaviest death toll for the British Army in the 10 years since it was sent into quell fighting between Roman Catholic and Protestant militants. Mountbatten was both a sentimental and a symbolic target because he was, as they say, I feel like I hear this with every fucking member of the royal family. They're like, oh, he was actually one of the good ones. He was one of the most respected members of the royal family. He was a super good dude. He was like a huge mentor and favorite uncle of Charles, who is like probably the one who started calling him Uncle Dickie. Like that was his fucking guy. So, anyways, they get exploded on the boat, and they say that he was a super easy target because the bomb had been placed on his unguarded boat the night before his murder. He'd been vacationing in the Irish town of Mulligamore, so they'd left the boat like completely just sitting there, and everybody's like, I bet that's their boat because it hits.
And this area don't hit.
And this area don't hit. So like that, and a bunch of people had been like telling them like, I don't like, you guys are in an area where y'all don't hit, and y'all been here for a while, so people know that you're here.
And that don't hit for them.
And that don't hit for them. So, like, y'all kind of need to be careful. Like, I think y'all need to get extra security. And Lord Mountbatten was like, nah, fuck all that. Like, it's fine.
It's a nice day.
And he was...
Nice days are rare over there, dude. They're mostly gray. Sun comes out, you're like, fucking terrorists be damned. We taking the boat out.
And
Next
so
thing you know, explode.
They're basically telling him the whole time, like, you don't need to get on this boat. And famous last words, he said... this is the last recorded thing from anybody that he said was, who the hell would want to kill an old man anyways?
That's a classic old man thing to say.
What you going to do, stab me?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then they did that shit, and they exploded him.
That's just such a British aristocracy thing. It's like, who would have a problem with us?
Yeah.
It's like, only most of the world.
Yeah, everyone.
Everybody that
Yeah.
you have oppressed.
Yeah.
Ever.
No, we taught them tea.
They love it. Before us, they were just
They had no tea.
tit-fucking potatoes and being savages.
With no pants on. Now they wear pants and have tea. How could they be upset?
I guarantee you someone has said some version of that.
Yeah,
like,
right, yeah.
Now they have pants and wear tea.
Have pants and wear tea.
Oh, fuck, man. Either way. Well, that's all I got on the explosion and the IRA. But yeah, so.
Well, that hit.
I don't know the ripple effect of that because, like, pretty much, in my opinion, everything would, like, the succession didn't change on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, this isn't one of those where, like, if that didn't happen, then like, you know, I don't know. I mean, obviously, this fucked Charles up because that was his guy. So, like, maybe he's got some issues because of that. But, like, as far as secession goes and the butterfly flapping its wings, it kind of seems like this was just an incident that, like, yeah, sometimes a British motherfucker's going to get exploded on a boat when he don't hit for people and he's vacationing in their water next to their not hitting boats.
I agree. Heard that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, Pro Cho. That was incredible. We appreciate it. We appreciate you, Airheads, for being here.
Yeah, cheers. Like, subscribe, download, tell all your friends. If you're watching this on YouTube, which we really appreciate, at watchpoa.com. If you could do us a favor, go to your favorite podcast app, download and subscribe it on there, even if you don't listen to it. Leave us a review. Leave us a 5-star review. Write something. It could be as simple as, it hits. We like it. It takes you 2 seconds, but it really helps us move up the ranks in our ultimate goal as Edward the Conquerors of podcasts to claim that #1 spot. Fuck everybody else but us. You know what I'm saying? Do it. We love you. Send us emails at puttingonairs@gmail.com if you have any questions, concerns, which I assume there will be several with this episode. And enjoy this segment that we call Clearing the Airs. And we'll see you next time.
William was the conqueror, though.
What did I say?
Edward.
Oh, that
he was
motherfucker
the
confessed.
snitch. He was the snitch ass motherfucker. Anyway, yeah.
1, 2, 3,
enjoy
4,
clearing the
1,
airs.
2, 3, 4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trae and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cunt, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at Puttin' On Airs. Puttin' On Airs. Puttin' On Airs. Puttin' On Airs.
All right, that was quite a doozy, that episode, I felt. I don't know how
Sure.
I don't know how the Airheads will feel about it. I guess we'll find out soon. We'll see what kind of mail we get. I think it'll be fine. First time, probably not the last time, I felt inclined to include a disclaimer at the start of the episode. Because, we went in a little bit, I thought.
We did.
This particular episode.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate
I
the
felt while
disclaimer.
listening back to it, I don't know. I'm my own harshest critic sometimes. I felt like there were times where I was, even though in the episode I felt like I did reiterate on multiple occasions, I was like, listen, there's nothing wrong with having help or whatever. Even present day me listening to it felt like if somebody out there is a single parent or something and has to fucking leave their kids at grandma's every now and then because that's just the way life be or whatever.
My mom did.
Right. And I don't want any of those people to interpret any things I said in this episode as being shitty about them, basically. Because like I said, there's only 2 scenarios that I would outwardly criticize, and that's somebody just abandoning their kids entirely or just pawning them off on hired help entirely. That's the only 2 things that I would explicitly shit on. Everybody else, I understand. I know how life works, so I don't know. I felt like I don't know how I came off.
Look, a lot of comedians.
I think there was a lot of jokes and funny moments in there, but I don't know. So but I didn't want to cut it out. So we'll see.
A lot of comedians and also, I guess just some people who are super into comedy would always be like, you should never have to apologize for a joke, and if you have to sit there and explain it, then don't even do it. But I want my jokes to be understood in context and on stage, when you're doing a joke, you've tested it a million times. Every single word is perfect. You set it up the way you want to, and it is what it is. On a podcast, you just kind of start talking, and every now and then things can be lost in context, and it's just not the same. A lot of times you're having these ideas for the first time, and they're not polished. So I don't know. I think it's nice that you did the little addendum or preface, as it was, but I knew where you were coming from, and I hope everybody else did too. I didn't put out a disclaimer for any of my portion. However, I would like to now clear the air a little bit as I just recently listened to it. I didn't mean to defend ISIS. But I get where it would sound like I was defending ISIS, and I definitely reiterated this several times in the podcast. But as you said, a lot of times people don't hear that part because they're already angrily typing away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all I was saying is I get ISIS. You know what I mean? I understand why that would be a thing. I also am sorry for comparing the IRA to ISIS. I know that I don't understand the fundamental levels of all that. And by the way, I don't know who that's more offensive to, ISIS or the IRA. I would like to apologize.
For nobody involved, I would imagine.
I would also like to apologize for comparing IRA to the WCW's NWO.
That was great.
I mean, I enjoyed it, but I also, I don't know enough about the IRA to know which one should have been the Wolfpack or which one should have been the standard NWO. I was sort of talking out of my ass. I would also like to say that I didn't mean that war deserters hit either. I know what I said, and I do believe that I would probably be a deserter. But I also then said that I believe deserters are the real heroes. I think I was just trying to hit. I don't know. I'm a coward. I'm not saying that anybody has never deserted for an appropriate reason. I'm certain that they have. So anyways, to reiterate, I'm not defending ISIS. I'm sorry about everything I said about the IRA, and war deserters shouldn't be heroes, I guess. It's really, really funny of how I would like to apologize for maybe being flippant about colonization. So it was so funny listening back. I had such I was coming at it from such a innocent child's point of view. I was just like, I don't get it, Trae. Like, why? like what? And you said, well, the whole thing about colonization is it's just to put some pants on them savages. and I was like, yeah, you're right. But you were like, Corey, you can't speak logic to these people. I don't understand what you're getting at. The colonizers can't be rationed with because they are asshole people. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. So that's all the air I needed to clear about my portion. Sorry for being long-winded.
That was a lot. That was great. It made me feel better about because I was, again, in my head, I was like, man, I don't know. I said some things in this episode, and then here you come with a whole fucking laundry list, which is why I said,
does ISIS kind of hit? I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so, again, this episode, we'll see how it goes over. Might be polarizing, might super hit for some, super not hit for others. I guess we'll find out, but either way, the air is now cleared. I don't really have anything else to say that I haven't said between now and the disclaimer. If you've got some letters or whatever.
Do. Some airmail, as it were. Here is from... Lord, excuse me. I'm sorry. I've been drinking a lot of water today. This is from Elizabeth Catuli. Subject line, Kids and Hastings. Hi guys, thanks for another hitting podcast. I'm afraid I am that person. I'm afraid I am that person who sets the table and uses a napkin, cloth, not paper. If you ever come to the west of Ireland, you should come to supper so you can point and laugh. The reason behind the elbows off the table rule was to protect one's clothes from dirt on the table and to reduce wear at the elbows. Clothes were all handmade and had to be washed by hand, and even in upper-class families, clothes were handed down or passed on, so it was quite important to keep them clean and in good repair. Edward the Confessor. A confessor is one whom confesses, such as a priest. Edward was incredibly pious, and it's possible that his lack of children is not because he couldn't, but because he wouldn't. The more recent episodes of the British History podcast have been covering this. Thanks again.
All right.
That's one theory on the elbows off the table. There's actually some contradicting ones throughout these emails, and one that didn't get brought up in the emails, but was mentioned in a comment section that I now maintain is the real reason, and it hits for me, but also is the reason why it's now stupid that we still do it.
Okay.
This is from Ross Shannon. Hey guys, wanted you to know how I've been thoroughly enjoying the show and that I'm have a huge grin on when your accents show up. Both of you doing anything from snooty English to Cockney and also doing distinctive Scottish, Irish, Aussie, Kiwi, etc. You seem to nail and stay in very well. And thank you, that's great. You've additionally done a handful of character voices that seem to land. However, when those when those Arnolds came out, oh man, seriously, the only accent I can manage to do, and somehow yours were a mess and worse. A sloppy dumpster of an Arnold, and I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
Keep hitting from Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Dude,
I should have read the subject line. The subject line was, "Who is your daddy and what does he do?"
Right. Well, so like, and I think we talked about this on an episode once before, because we, like, really early on, I was talking about how, like, listen, we're gonna be doing some voices, and I want y'all to know, a lot of them are going to be cartoonishly absurd and not at all accurate. We're fucking comedians. We're like, dude, when somebody starts doing an Arnold and they start going into the, which is what I was doing, Larry, like that fucking,
it's
like,
not the tumor.
Yeah, right. Like, then of course we know that's not like an accurate representation of how the governor talks. It's just like, that's just that's the caricature version of, you know, an Arnold impersonation, and, and it hits. I think it's funny.
I do too. Yeah, you can't do it. No one's ever done an accurate Arnold Schwarzenegger. No one strives for an accurate Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's supposed to be ridiculous. Here we got another one.
But thank you, though.
Yes, we appreciate that. Another one, subject line, table manners, elbows, from Donald Wirt, Corey and Trae, laugh out loud episode. I did want to write in about the elbows on the table. The way I understand it, the rule came about because centuries ago, tables weren't fixed items of furniture. They were put together as needed using trestles, aka sawhorses, and boards. Hence the name trestle table. Putting your elbows on such a construct would be apt to flip the board. Even today, putting your elbows on a table supported on a central column rather than four legs is likely to jar it. Don't ask me how I know that. It got formalized at some point into the rule we know today. Keep up the good work, Don Wirt. So there is yet another theory on why.
I'm picturing
and that one is at least practical.
I'm picturing two sawhorses with a board laid in between them, right?
Oh, right.
I don't see how, you know, I mean, I'm sawhorse and physics dumb, but, like, how's putting your elbow on the side of that board gonna flip the whole thing over if
I agree.
like, if the size is matched up? Also, some bitch needs to be able to stand up to the goose you've laid on there, or more likely the quail, I guess. And peasants would love to have quail, whatever, mud pie and the fucking dirt sprouts that you've laid out on there to eat. Like, you know, I don't know, maybe.
So those are two. We've heard two theories on why it's the elbows on the table, but I wanted to bring up to you a third one, and this was mentioned a couple times in the comment section of the video, and this is the one that I'm going to choose to believe. And again, because I choose to believe this, it makes it even more ridiculous. It was posited in the comment section at watchpoa.com on our most recent episode that the reason that parents don't want their kids to put their elbows on the table was because of this. Back in the day, when they ate and people that worked on ships ate, they had to put their elbows on the table to secure the table down because they were swaying back and forth in the ship. And back then, there were always pirates looking to recruit other pirates. And apparently, if a pirate saw someone, a child, eating with their elbows on the table, it said to them that they were someone who had
make
been
a good pirate. That's
that he'd
already
been
got
sea.
the elbows on the table.
Right, that he'd been at sea.
Is that all that goes into fucking pirating? Is knowing how to keep your elbows on the table? Goddamn.
So parents would be like, don't put your elbows on the table, or the pirate will steal your
pirates will take you away. That's what they look for.
Yeah, so I'm choosing to believe that one. But again, if that is the true version, then it's like, that don't exist no more. So just put your fucking elbows on the table. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
I would like to get to the very last email that I've been saving for last, because this comes from a not only longtime listener of the show, a longtime listener of everything in the Skuniverse, also someone who had a brief tenure as the producer on the Well Read podcast. Back from the dead, ladies and gentlemen. It is producer Bryce, and he comes in with the subject line, POA, episode 14, car racing. Okay. Hello, gentlemen. Producer Bryce here. insert Undertaker gif. As requested, here are a few thoughts/facts about your car racing episode I was screaming at my phone and almost got fined by my HOA for. At 4050, Cho says that we ain't had an F1 race down here or whatever. Truth is, F1 has been racing in Austin, Texas every year aside from 2020. Since 2012 at the Circuit of the Americas, or the COTA, F1 did race in Miami for the first time ever earlier this year, but F1 was held... Shit, my sister's calling me. But F1 was held world championship races in the USA since 1959. Non-world championship F1 races in the USA date back to 1908. At 41:19, my man has timestamps. At 41:19, Trae says, well, they're not street races, and then later on references Monaco, where F1 races in the street. At 42:50... At 42:53, Cho says, we can't just go to an F1 race. As previously mentioned, COTA is scheduled for October 21st through 23rd in Austin, Texas. A 3-day general admission ticket, including the race Cho thinks he can't go to, is $320. At 43:53, Cho says, it's a billionaire circus. While mostly true, the reason why the tickets to the F1 race in Miami were so expensive is because the organizers only sold 80,000 tickets so they wouldn't have a Woodstock 99 situation on their hands, since it was their first F1 event and they knew demand would be sky high. At around the 44:52 minute mark, Cho says he can't go to Le Mans for the 24-hour race. While semi-true, in parentheses, Cho has money, Cho could also go to Daytona, Florida in February of every year to watch the Rolex 24. This race started in 1962 and is held annually, usually the week before Daytona 500. You can camp in the infield and watch all 24 hours. Love yins, and may Earnhardt, Sr. and Jr. bless. Producer Bryce.
So, Bryce is one of my best friends. I worked with him at my old day job for years. I knew he liked NASCAR. I didn't know he knew that much about F1. But what I take away from that letter is, like, it is truly hilarious what any person who actually knows about the topic you and I are discussing, what they must be thinking every time we're discussing. Like, most people are not going to know about most of these subjects, but every now and then there's going to be some people listening who actually know about whatever it is we're talking about, and we must infuriate those people every time it comes up, because, like, it's just the
out of our butt.
Dude, yeah.
And that's the problem, too.
Said it, you know.
We have always said, like, we usually do make disclaimers like, hey, I'm just talking about out of my butt. But between those disclaimers, we also then speak with the confidence
utter
of
conviction.
Kennedy.
Yeah. Utter conviction.
Yeah, just utter.
Yeah, look, it ain't like we can just go to one of these things. I was like, no, can't do it.
Of course not. Can't do it.
Absolutely can.
Knowing zero facts. Yeah, well, thank you, Producer Bryce. And, buddy, I'm excited. By the time everyone hears this, I will be in Burbank, California.
We'll be like 4 episodes deep by the time everybody hears this. Ideally, hopefully.
We sure will. And I'm super excited. As y'all know, you can get those emails in at puttingonairs@gmail.com. And while you're doing that, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Write a little review. It takes 2 seconds, but it really helps us. And I'm gonna say this, Trae. How about this? We have right now, let me look it up and be accurate. How about it? We have 458 reviews on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars, by the way, 458. If we get that number doubled in, let's say, 2 weeks, if we can somehow get to near 1,000 reviews, we will do some bonus thing. We're not going to tell you what it is because we haven't thought about it yet. But we will do a bonus thing for y'all if we can get to 1,000 reviews in 2 weeks.
That's for me.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we love y'all.
Do it to it. Review it, baby.
Do it to it. Review it. Tell your friends we love you. Bye and skew.
Skew away. Say you bye.